Okay. So I finally do have the conversational flow. So it's a mood, and I'll pick the mood. The mood I'm picking is honesty, and the honesty I want to say is a conversation to you. So I was talking to my sister, and I visited my sister in San Francisco, and I was talking to her, and we were talking about relationships, at least aspects of that, and I know I'm very close to success, to attainment. Um, you do this through healing. You do this through realizing that everything is coordinate based. Through that, people that you meet and lives always can come back again, and that's something that I wanted to share with you. And and I have. Uh, but another thing, and it's interesting. I don't think this is a conversation anymore. I don't think this should be a conversation, at least to anyone in particular. The thing that I've noticed is that my mind actually wanders in a new way, in a way that I was trying to fight for all of today. And the way is that it it's interesting. I find it to be so beautiful that the masculine has to venture away from the feminine, and every now and then we have to walk our own path. Either you fall out of love for us or something like that. It doesn't matter. But the point is that for us to be like living creatures and exist in this world, we have to be able to walk separately. And I am doing that separately away from at each other is coordinate r. We are a radius distance away from each other in terms of paradise, in terms of attainment. Um, and it's interesting about it because the conversations I was having with my sister is clearly just a feminine soul, and so it was interesting how I was able to meet the dialogues pretty easily. There was that the point is that these expressions, that these things that I've learned, really is the truth. That these are useful tools, and at this point, it's not just for my son because it's like obviously that's pretty useful, and my own children, but it's like that's the future. But it's interesting because this is really all about now. And another thing that I'm trying to say is that what I'm a little scared of is that I'm walking towards infinity without you. And I'll be ready and I'll find my attainment. I'm not scared about finding paradise. The thing that I'm actually scared of, and it might be weird, is thank you. I'm glad you like this background. It's very relaxing for the mood. Uh, that's why I chose this. Because I could turn on the light, but then, I don't think it. Okay, you get it. What I wanted to say to you is that I'm walking in a new way now. Um, I don't know if this might scare you because it scared my previous partner. I'm walking in a way that it's not that I don't need you, it's that I've learned that you can do whatever you want, and I'm always working towards you. I'm always working towards that dream that we spoke together, that we had. Um, but what's interesting is that depth of connection really does always exist. Um, not with the previous person, but it does exist. It can continue, and it does continue. That is the method of attainment, but one method. You have to utilize that. The conversation I wanted to have was that you readily walk these very accurate dialogues. You walk infinite paths. But what's interesting is I am giving you the first harmonic. Um, I don't think this is actually a conversation that is navigable. I don't think it's navigable by regular means. I don't even think you can. I don't think it seems to me like no other person is walking with me. And what's interesting is that most of the time I use live viewership to see if the conversation is empathetic, to see if other people will even listen. And what's interesting about that is that it seems to me like this conversation is too niche, that this really is a call to the void. Um, and whenever I notice that there are calls to the void, whenever we must walk into darkness, these are the voids. You know how there are voids in the universe? This is a void in life. The thing is that, And I'll just share another thing. At this point, I am speaking in the void. Beautiful, beautiful how we do observe that. I guess at this point, this is for me. The conversation is no longer to you. The conversation is no longer to anyone. And it's interesting because I must speak because here's the beauty about life. The beauty about life is that I don't like to live in repeated harmonics. I personally don't. So anything I ever publish, post, or anything will always be new. I don't ever try to get a repeated experience, ever. I don't like that. It's just personally what I don't know. I don't know why I don't like that. But who cares? This is for me, and this is definitely for my YouTube. But I'm now confused because based off what I've seen on your YouTube, based off what I've seen on your capabilities, I'm confused because this must necessarily mean, theoretically, based off what we've observed with you and duality, the only answer, like, this is what I want to do. Like, I can show you that we can do solutions like this. You can quantitatively find your reality, and so I'm showing you how to find how to find me in a way, because it is something that I've shared before. The feminine has figured out, based off what I've told her, that everything that you see that it applies to me is not just me specific. It is the masculine and the masculine's desire and his embodiments. The masculine will feel these thoughts. He will feel everything I feel. I think I call it the fundamental theorem of calculus. The fundamental theorem of calculus does exist for emotion. You may not believe it, but it does. In terms of feeling, in terms of quantitative, in terms of bitwise processing, in terms of what someone actually knows and thinks, no, that is not the case. And there are proofs for this. And I think I noticed that I think memory, I think conversation, I think all of this is just proofs. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily speak in proofs, they don't think in proofs, they don't exist in proofs. And that's why you hold this belief, or it's not just you, it's everyone. It's everyone in that phase of life, in that stage of conversation, of being neglected, of being like, no, you're not good enough. No, you don't know anything. And so, how dare you speak on anything of the world if you don't know anything concretely? That is quite true. That is quite true. So, like I said, calling into the void, shouting into the void, what do I do? What do I like to do? The thought that I had is that sometimes I see the exact truth, and at that point, it's confusing because it's like when you say the exact truth, whenever anybody has a conviction or a thought, you know it from your experience that they go nowhere, their thoughts lead nowhere. It's a waste of your time, a waste of your life. Have I ever given that to you? Honestly, I'm being dead serious. If I have, I apologize. But I don't think this is that case, though. If you want to finite me, if you want to relegate me to you are doing this, you are this, it's like, go ahead and do that, my brother in Christ, my sister in Christ even. Go ahead and presume these things of me, and I must allow you to, because it's not even I must, I genuinely do allow you to, because if I dwell on that, if I care any more about this at all, look at where I am. Look at this darkness. Look at this void. That means I would be using my energy, wasting my life to further exist, to further, literally, you're wasting your existence. So I find that interesting how there's a lot of conversation about energies and about swap. Like, what that really means at the end of the day is just we all have 24 hours and we all have the same capability of recording and encoding information. I wanted to say this while I was, laying down. It's interesting. I have such profound, such like Marcus Aurelius kind of like big um, thoughts when you're laying down. But when you're up here and you're speaking once again into the void, it's easy to speak to an audience, to a captive audience of people that are actually listening. Um, but it's much harder to speak to the void. Much harder. That's why I find it to be actually very fascinating that you do so regularly. That's actually rather interesting, because I don't think you converse to the void, and that's what I'm trying to say right now as well. That we never converse to the void. We have an audience, and that audience exists. But when the audience is uncertain, when the thing is, theoretically the audience is never uncertain. Audience of one, the self. But I really don't like when I dawdle, or when it appears like I'm dawdling. That's what I mean. We do have these emotions. We do have these encodings. I only have value when I'm perfectly correct. Um, when I'm doing the 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 most appealing translation. And doesn't that feel bothersome to anybody? It's like, can they not be like, I get you, my brother. I get you, my brother. Have a rest. Have a rest, and we can talk. We can talk, and I'll understand you, and I will take the time to really extend that empathetic other, to really take the time to understand you, um, to draw the idea out by asking you questions. And at this point, it's pretty much, I'm gonna say how I feel again. I feel defiant. I feel like so bothered that time, time, time again, that this has to be done perfectly. The only time anything ever gets done in this physical reality is if it's done perfectly. And that bothers me. But technically it shouldn't, because that's just what the masculine has to do. And so I'm going to have to just accept the void. I'm going to have to accept reality, because that is what it is. You look at our physical universe, the black voids between the stars, between galaxies. Why does this exist? Where do we see that in our lives? You see that in your lives everywhere. In your life. If you want more examples of how physics exists, studying this whole time. And the thing that, I'll just say this real quick, because it's like, the thing that I find interesting about Einstein, or at least something recently that I came to feeling, because at this point, it's confusing now, because it's like, these recollections, these archives, who are they for? Um, I I think I must make them for my children at this point, because this conversation to the feminine, this conversation to another, they don't exist. At least they do, but they don't. They never exist the way and that's the thing that I'm trying to say, that I have finally reached communication to you. I can finally connect one-on-one with you again. We can do that together. And it's like, I've done this. I've succeeded. And it really should be a huge, like, a huge celebration of like, wow, we've done this. We've done this. But it's not that. It's not that, because the next step that I'm trying to say, yes, it was the masculine that had to do it in the first place. It has to be the masculine that extends the effort to come to you. But the next step is the feminine, and she is to come into her embodiment by utilizing the balance, the covenants between the relationship. It's interesting. I breathe, I sigh, I feel like you get where this is going. I feel like I just want to throw it away. I just want to not let anyone, and that's what I want to say. That I have a lot of I have resentment too, obviously, as a soul, as a consciousness, as a living creature in this reality. Because a lot of these average people in this world really are mean. They have their daily lives. They have egos, and but I don't want to. Like I've always felt like I've never been in this world. I've always thought this entire schema is just bullshit. If we can make a better world, and I will. I know how. I know macroeconomics better than these. Okay. The cool thing about the theory of generation is just manipulation. But it's like, can we stop manipulating each other as human beings? And can we use the theory of macroeconomics to create a sustainable culture? If we just discussed why market prices are the way they are, if we could just be like, hey, for every gallon over conservation that you take, we're going to charge you for the equivalent of desalination. You get me? Like, we could use economics and the principles of all this stuff to free ourselves. The masculine can free the world for everyone. And it's basically, yeah. And I realized that, like, I am the blank slate. But it's not just me. Well, it's the masculine. Every man can do his part to fix the world. He must. Because if he does not wish to fix the world, then he is inviting suffering for the next generations. He's letting his children rot. What a selfish animal. This is the state of our world right now. This is a lot of men. Not for me, though. Not for me. But it's interesting. It's like, that makes me feel very vengeful in one regard, because it's like, how dare these animals hurt the feminine soul? How dare these animals take away the opportunity for other souls to exist in this world? How dare these animals? And that's what I wanted to say, that it's interesting. You like strength, the feminine. You like strength. You like all this stuff of manliness and all this stuff, but it's like, you like fire and all this stuff. You think I don't have fire? You think every man doesn't have that fire within him? Obviously, it's like, not every man is capable of summoning forth infernos to destroy villages. Not every man can, but every man has that feeling. That's what I wanted to say. And that's what I mean by the fundamental theorem of calculus for emotions, the mean value theorem for emotions. Everybody feels the exact same BS. The funny thing is, when these trite souls think that they have the capability to execute masterfully on their inferno, no, they cannot. They are executing with strength, but not masterfully. If I wanted to, this is what I want to say. You know what chaos magic is. You know what it's way easier to destroy things than it is to make things good. Way easier. And as a physicist, we know how to engineer entire schema, entire solutions, software solutions. If I wanted to, I can speak ideas that I've already thought about that will be economic successes Great companies. Great companies. But I don't want to speak these ideas because I think they're evil. I think they will cause more suffering in the world. Do you want a way to get a lot of money for the state? Well, we already have that solution. AI. AI, what's it called? I don't want to go further. I don't want to go further because that's just going to increase the number of fines. But once again, it's a lot of questions that the legal authorities and a lot of people within charge are going to say, that's a great idea to make money, but rules for thee, not for me. We need exceptions to these, and those exceptions are us. And I don't like that. So once again, if I wanted to, and I do really want to, at this point, it basically is I save up money for like the next 2 years, invest in my own, or just find investors, show the entire schematic of the company, of the project, of the simple AI execution, offer this to cities as a way to increase funding and revenue and stuff, and boom, I now have that. But it's like, I don't like. The point is, I can be a much better businessman. I can be a much better everything in any field than any man. And I find that to be pretty damn amazing. And it's like, I feel blessed. I feel blessed. And at this point, it's like, yeah, this inferno is quite existent. I was a young lad, a young soul. All I wanted was love in this world, and I came upon this world, and I realized just how basic, just how, yes, we do have the solution. Yes, officers, this is the best we can do. That is correct, sir. Sir. Shit ass, sir. I'll say that. Not all officers are terrible, obviously. I'll just say that to the souls that were not empathetic. Yeah, I'll say that. Because it's for a fact. If you thought this entire conversation, if you got to that far where you heard me say that, wow. I'm surprised. I'm shocked. Do you know anything about me then? It's like, okay. Well, once again, like I said, all of the jobs of the men in this world I can do because we both have the same soul. But the funny thing is, I've actually mastered my 24-hour day. That Marcus Aurelius shit is real. It's real. The funny thing is, and now I wonder, how are your personal lives? What do you do outside of work? Because, I'll just leave it there. Once again, knowing the capabilities of this world. And that's the thing. That's another aspect. Now we're gonna say a little bit of knowledge, just for knowledge's sake, just for the YouTube video. What's cool about wisdom, about like duality, about why you don't want to speak bad things, is because it's interesting. It's interesting when you suggest ideas. Just by even suggesting them, just by you having that intent, you really do there is a reflection. There's a physical reflection. And at this point, it really is just drawing these ideas out. It's like, yeah, vectors, yeah, quantum mechanics, yeah. It's so trite for me at this point. It's like, wow. We do have the general solution. And now at this point, it's just, okay, let's use it. I know it doesn't seem that I don't know. I wonder what you think of this. Maybe I don't care.